so whack. So whack. Greetings babies, I hope everyone is well and that you guys are well rested on this very beautiful warm Sunday. Well, I don't know if it's warm. As you can tell by the title of this video, I did shrooms, magic shrooms, for the first time, and I just want to share my experience with it and how I have spiritually, or the potential it has to spiritually elevate you, you know. It definitely helped me, and I know what I need to do. I'm a bit snot-nosed, so can you please just excuse that? I'm still trying to manage this whole not getting sick thing, because so whack. So whack. But let's just get straight into it, yeah? So I had 1 milligram. I had 1 milligram of shrooms. I was offered like, hey, would you like to try some shrooms? And I said sure, because shrooms was something that I was down to try for a while. If I'm honest, you know, it's not something that I went out and looked for, like, hey, shrooms, but now that it came to me finally, I said, yes, I'm willing to try. And, you know, typically I'm not like a substance kind of person. I mean, I just drink alcohol and that's just about it. But nonetheless, I tried, and it was eventful. By me making this video, it's also just something that, it's just notes that I made and things that I took notice of and things that I can do better next time. And so I just want to run you through it, you know. So I got 1 milligram of shrooms. I even threw away the bag now. I got 1 milligram of shrooms and I ate it. I ate it with wine gums, you know. It's raw, it's that like, it's that natural taste, you know. So if you just want to help it down with something, do your thing. You can boil it in tea also, so I don't know if you like boil it in the pot. I think maybe you boil it in the pot, I don't know, I've never done it. But I ate mine just, you know, I popped the shroom, popped the gummy, mix it together. I can barely taste it. So I chilled for about, let's say maybe 40 minutes, and I was very tired that day. So I was even thinking like, I'm not even gonna experience this high because I'm gonna fall asleep, bruh. I'm gonna fall asleep. So I turned off the lights, bruh, and I climbed into my bed and I said, away, you know, let me sleep. And that didn't happen. I remember just starting to rub my feet together and I started to get very fidgety, and I said, oh, but I need the loo. And so I went to the loo, and I felt drunk almost, like it's like a woozy kind of feel, like when you step it's like whoa, you know. And I was still coming into the high, if I'm honest. Well, I don't know if I can call it a high or the trip, rather. I was still coming into it because I thought that, yeah, you know, that's about it. No, honey, it got better or worse, you know, however you want to put it. So I went to the loo and I said, oh, this is it. Wait, no. So I realized that, you know, I'm very fidgety. It heightened my anxiety. That's the first thing that I picked up. Like my chest got really tight, and I felt like there was ants under my skin. Like that's how fidgety I was. I remember throwing my socks off, and I said, these socks, I said, everything on me, like I could feel every single thing, every single fiber of my clothing, every single thing that was on me. I could feel it was so enhanced it heightened everything for me. And I was like, why am I so anxious? I was really struggling for breath. And I think that it was more in my head than my actual reality. Because when I focused and felt my heart wasn't racing at all. Like, I was pretty fine, but then I noticed that it was actually in my head, because when I took a nice deep breath, I could take a deep breath. So I wasn't actually struggling for breath. So I noticed that I should have done my research. So firstly, just do your research before you take shrooms. I said I'm glad that I also didn't really research, because if I had found something that I didn't like, maybe it was like, oh, it'll heighten your anxiety, I'd be like, no, I don't want my anxiety heightened, and then I would have just gotten afraid and I wouldn't have done it, so I would rather just, not that I would, but I did, I rather just went in and then figured it out as time went, because one thing that I did focus on was, it's just a trip, it's gonna end, and so I tried very hard not to trip myself out, because honestly, I'm not experienced in this stuff, and I just did it. Let's do my research and let's see what I can do on shrooms, what I shouldn't do on shrooms. And that time I am high as hell, like my trip, I'm tripping. And I just continued to do my research, and then I came across doubleblindmag.com. Doubleblindmag.com helped me with 12 things one should do when tripping, right? And so I remember feeling, when I went to the bathroom, I said, man, I feel sick. I felt like I wanted to vomit. That's exactly, I felt very nauseous. I didn't feel well. And when I came across doubleblindmag.com, they said that, you will feel nauseous, you'll feel sick. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And they said that one thing you should do is drink tea. So you should have ginger tea, because that helps with the nausea, and then green tea helps you focus, and then lavender mellows you out, and then chamomile tea helps you wind down so that you can fall asleep. And so I said, okay, that time it's 10 o'clock at night. I ain't getting up to make no damn tea, and I know for sure I don't got no ginger tea, I don't got no lavender or chamomile. Pretty sure I still got green tea though, and fucking rooibos. So I said, miss me with that tea action. Like, I said, miss me with that tea action. I ain't getting involved in no tea. So now it's something that I know for in future. I'm just looking over here because I wrote down some points that I experienced even before getting to the point where I decided to Google what I should do whilst tripping. Even before that, during my anxiety, because like I said, my anxiety was peaking, I said I should have done my research. Oh my goodness, why didn't I do my research? And I just said, you know what, something came over me, and it's very normal. I wasn't shocked by it. And I said, why not just have the experience? At the end of the day, this is just a trip. And I said to myself, like, why must I be afraid of dying? Because I was like, oh, what if I die? What if something is not good for me in this? And I said, well, we're all gonna fucking die. And when I said that, and when I admitted it, my brain just got so still, because within that first hour of my trip, oh my goodness, my brain, oh, just the anxiety, it was like just a lot. It was like a lot going on in my head, and after I had said, like, we're all gonna die, my brain really just stilled. It just went quiet. I calmed all the way down, and I honestly, I contemplated mortality, and I naturally, on shrooms, I would believe that you sit there and you can possibly just dwell on death, like, it just helps you accept it, acknowledge it more than you would on a normal day, which was really okay with me, so then that led me to then Google and just do a little bit of research. But I didn't do too much of it, just in case I tripped myself out. I didn't want to be on my phone a lot, to be honest. So I just didn't really do it. I just read what I needed to read, and I left it. I said this trip will take me where it needs to take me, and I'll learn everything that I need to learn. With me just calming down, I settled, my brain really settled, and I leaned into the discomfort because my body is fidgeting, I'm just, I said, you know what, I'm gonna lean into this, and I'm gonna lean into this experience, and I'm gonna let it show me what it needs to show me. And one thing I would say is, if you don't know yourself, or if you are afraid to know yourself, don't take shrooms, because it enhances my experience. But that's the thing, let me not say it enhances as if my experience will be the same as your experience if you do try it, and if you have tried it out, I'm not saying that it is the same, because everyone's experience is definitely different when it comes to psychedelics. Like how people say that, no, it lessened their anxiety. My anxiety shot straight through the damn roof, bro. So that's an example of, everyone's trip is different. What I'm saying is, if you don't know yourself and you're afraid to know yourself, don't take shrooms. I'm getting pins and needles. The shrooms just enhanced my reality. They enhanced everything that I already knew. And if you guys are like shaking like this, you're on the bed, so like my movement will affect the movement of you, of course. Excuse me. I'm very glad that I do my inner work, and I try my best to constantly learn more about myself and face myself. So when everything came out at me, like boom, this is you, I was like, wow, okay, this is me, and I know it, but now it's out in the open. It gave me a sense of discomfort firstly, but also I got really calm, and then I wanted to lean in, and I said, I want to go deeper, and I want to know myself more, and how can I get to do that better? And then it hit me that I should have set an intention. I should have set an intention before tripping, because I feel like then there's a purpose in the trip, instead of trying to just do it freestyling and winging it. I like for these certain experiences to have a purpose and an intention. So even though I was already in it and there was no going back, I said that's something that I can do differently. And I tried to set an intention whilst I was in it and really figure out certain things, but that was just a hot mess. And I said, I'm not gonna stuff my brain and force myself and try to confuse myself, because I feel like that was just gonna trip me out even worse, you know. So I said, I'm just gonna take it as it comes. And so I did, you know. So I faced myself, and I wanted to learn myself and learn my shadows and really just get into the parts of myself that, to be honest, I'm too lazy to get into on a normal day, you know, because self-work takes a lot of energy. I'm like, please. I went through all of the emotions. It brought out my insecurities, like some things that I am insecure about at this very present current time. And it also enhanced my securities, the things that I am secure about, the things that I am confident about. I went through all of the emotions. I was anxious, I was sad, I was heartbroken, I cried, and then I got happy, and my perspective changed. My perspective changed from, oh my word, this person is X, Y, and Z, and I feel like this because they did that. My perspective changed from that to, okay, it's not that person's fault. What could I have done better? What am I missing within myself that can make me feel the way that I do? You know, and I said, wow. And the thing is, there's a podcast that I listen to. Billy Atwell is the host. It is Unshakable Confidence, and he speaks on it all the time. There's a quote by Rumi. I'm not sure how the quote goes, but it's along the lines of, don't try change the world, change yourself. Don't change the external. That's not the problem. You are a fool if you try change the external. You need to change your internal so the external can change. Like, that's it. There's nothing else to it. And even though I'd known that, because it's a podcast that I listen to religiously and he preaches that over and over, I knew it, but within my trip I acknowledged it and I actually practiced it, and it came alive at me that it's not the external that's the problem, honey. The external is just trying to show you what's going on internally and what can you do better. And Billy Atwell also says that Buddha says something along the lines of, don't take my word for it, do it yourself. So don't just take my teaching of it, do it yourself, live it, be the action, otherwise you don't learn. Like how I said, I knew because he made it known to me, but I never took the action, and now I have the action, you know. So that it really shifted me, like spiritually, it changes the game. And I try to be very present in that moment also. And what I also learned was, don't judge the present. Like people say, when you're present, you're not really in your head. But I was in my head in the present, but being present in the way that I was present. I'm not even going to try to explain it because it was crazy. It was crazy. So please try and understand what I'm saying right now. I hope that it makes sense. But the way that I was present wasn't present. Because, oh no, you're in your head and, you know, whatever. But I didn't judge the way that I was present, because the way that I was present unlocked a different perspective for me. It brought out everything to the table, like all of the securities, insecurities, everything that you're doing good at, not doing good at. It brought all of it out and it said, here you go. So during my trip, I just learned, don't judge the present. Just stay true to yourself and let the trip guide you. Don't try and change it and force it, and just let it take you, because it's going to take you where you need to go. After my realization and after my crying and my happiness, I laid in bed and I just felt so much love for myself, so much goodness, you know, like I felt so beautiful. I couldn't stop touching my body. I said, I'm so beautiful, like wow, this is so amazing. After that, I got called to stretch. I stretched, you know, like I gave my body exactly what it needed. My back was feeling a bit tense, and so I stretched. I did like full on yoga. Not like full on yoga as if I do yoga and I know yoga, but I did what I do know, and it just felt so amazing to pay my body that attention and just give it what it needs. So like tripping for me, it allowed me to give my body what it needed at the time that it needed it. So funny enough, my toes got numb. Like my toes was so numb. I don't know if you have done shrooms and you've experienced them. Please let me know if your toes were numb, or maybe your fingers or feet, because my toes were damn numb. I said, what the hell is going on here? I read from dazeddigital.com that, you know, there's microdosing and then there's a full-on trip. So I did not microdose according to dazeddigital.com. A microdose is anywhere between 0.1 to 0.9 grams. I took 1 milligram of shrooms. So according to dazeddigital.com, I went on a full trip, and I'm not disagreeing. Even though it was my first time, it does feel like a full trip. And it also states that not an overdose, but because there's microdose and then there's, I don't know, overdose, a macro dose. Or if you take too much, or if you're sensitive to psilocybin, you can get weak visuals, anxiety, or nausea. So because I got heightened anxiety and nausea, according to Dazed Digital, yes, according to dazeddigital.com, I would be very sensitive to psychedelics, or I either then took a bit too much for myself. And maybe I did, because then again, it was my first time and I just leaped onto 1 milligram and I didn't microdose. But I do have every intention to maybe like try this again, you know, but this time microdose and just see the difference and see the certain things that I'll notice. Just to sum it all up, I got nervous, not nervous, but I got anxious, and my body really just, it really riled up. And after an hour or so, everything calmed down, and then I really got deep and went within myself, and it really helped my spiritual journey, because even after the trip, I still carry that with me, and I'm not heavily triggered by the things that did trigger me before the trip. And I know that I'm working through those things. And it's just, even when I was tripping, I meditated on I am. You know, I am. And I just let everything come up. After my cry, after my happiness, after everything settled down, I said I am. And I let all the words come up, you know. And it's more like just let it go, you know. Because trying to sit and heal, not even, it's gonna sound bad the way that I'm putting it, but like trying to fix your past mistakes is still dwelling on them. So just let it go. Just, you know, I just said, you know what, I'm healed, I'm past that, it's gone, I know better now, you know. So it's up to me to just be focused and present enough to do better. Just let it go. It's past, it's gone, it's past, it's gone. that's the kind of realization that I had, and it was just really amazing. So that's really my experience of shrooms and how it has helped me spiritually and how it's shifted me currently. I don't want to sit here and tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I'm just going to sit here and tell you about my experience and the things, the information that I have read. And I don't want to tell you to do it or not to do it. That's completely up to you. But please do your research. Don't be like me. But that's really my experience. And if this is something that you have done, or another psychedelic or a drug that you have done that's also shifted you, I would really love to know about it, because this is like a judgment-free zone, and here we just do what we want to do and we learn from our experiences and take the necessary lessons that our experiences show us and teach us, and we just keep living through this game called life, you know. Yeah, this really just showed me that, you know, there's nothing outside of myself. I can always come back to love within myself, and it was just such a beautiful, beautiful experience. So if this is something that you've done, just let me know. And if this video did help you and it's something that you were interested in, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you do enjoy my content and you are about spirituality and personal development, I would really appreciate it if you click the subscribe button and join the family. I would really love to have you. It really does help me out. And thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.